let's get after some matters of fact, okay? We're losing the plot again, I fear. Or maybe I just am. So maybe this reset's just for me. If this doesn't apply to you, fine. I am not one who is hoping that America's president fails to improve our economic condition. I don't even name the president in that comment. Why? That's the point. This isn't about Trump. It's about us. It's about our country, right? Our mutual benefit. Who doesn't want to see more and higher paying jobs? Jobs that meet the needs of the new economy. Who doesn't want us to make things here that enhance our national security? We all want America to have fair trade deals or better deals, right? And we all get that change takes time, okay? Shouldn't we all be able to agree on all of those things? Now, here's, where you're like, yeah, but, yeah, there's a but. Wanting all of those things and respecting that this administration is saying, at least, that they want to help the middle class at home and abroad, that deserves respect. That is a proper ambition. However, none of what I just said means that we have to accept blindly whatever is said and done by this administration in the alleged furtherance of those goals. Meaning, they don't get to say, hold on. We're trying to do the right thing here. Hold on. No. It depends what you do, especially when what they say and what they do seem to work against these stated goals. Intentions matter, of course, but so does strategy, tactics, and the facts. For example, I'm not going to celebrate the stock market's gains today. First of all, the market was barely up 1% in most of the different indices, and that comeback was spurred by this administration backing off widely condemned tornadoes of tariffs, okay? You do not get credit with me for putting out a fire that you lit on purpose, okay? Arguably arson. Now, I may have a better way along those lines of metaphor to describe the problem that we're living right now. So I'm at this first responder training session, doing nothing because I don't know what I'm doing, and I was basically scared the whole time. But watching the other people actually do the job, I heard this instructor say, and it really hit home. So the team was very aggressive. They went into this burning structure, totally scary, right? And the instructor said, I like that aggression. The aggression was good. You guys had the desire to be where you needed to be. But what about this part? How did you assess what had caused this fire and whether that cause had started fires elsewhere that would allow them to know what it actually takes to put down the flames and vent the structure so that you could see again and you could get to where the rescue may be, right? Because if you do it the wrong way and you vent at the wrong time, you make the fire much bigger. And then you can't see anything and you can't rescue anybody and everybody has a problem getting out alive. You can't just do and then think, okay? It's not ready, fire, aim, okay? That's what these tariffs seem like. Trump and co. go rushing in, bigger and deeper than we've ever seen before, as if that distinction alone makes it a positive difference. But since then, what have we seen? Nothing but pullbacks, mixed explanations, full celebrations of things that don't deserve celebration, all aggression, no real plan. The stock market is the least of the current conflagration of concern. The haphazard nature of Trump's tariff tango has created uncertainty. That is a loaded word in investing. Uncertainty about the safety and profitability of the American marketplace for investors and corporations at home and abroad. These are facts. Hence the bond market fluctuations, which threaten to destabilize a fundamental aspect of our economy. Bonds getting hinky is not the same as stocks doing that. Now, the pushback is going to be, well, someone had to do something. Countries have been tariffing America to death, and no one has been doing it worse than China. That's why we have these massive trade deficits. Okay, first, fact, we do not have trade deficits, even with China, especially with China, because of tariffs. That's a fact. We have trade deficits because we spend more than we make and more than we save. Oh, you're talking semantics now, tomato, tomato. No, I'm not. You can see this as a sign of domestic prosperity, okay? Or being too consumer-oriented or not saving much, but it's not necessarily a sign of bad trade deals. Now, you want to focus on China? Fine. They're proof of this proposition. Look at this and see where the trade deficit started with China. The graph tells the story, okay? We had a trade deficit before any tariffing went on. Why? Because the deficit came after what? When China was admitted to the WTO, the World Trade Organization. And in fact, when they were, one of the conditions was they had to reduce their tariffs on us. So the deficit came not from tariffs, therefore, but from the fact that the Chinese don't consume the way Americans do for various reasons. And. Because once they got into the WTO, more U.S. manufacturers offshored to China and started flooding the United States with cheap goods. So our trade deficit grew as the tariffs declined. Fact. It was the expansion of manufacturing in China that caused the trade deficit, not tariffs. Trump knows all this. How? Why do you think he produces so much of his stuff in China, including thousands of his God Bless the USA Bibles that he hawked during the campaign? He can deny it, but it's a matter of fact. And facts have to matter if you want to have any chance of getting anything better than this crap that we're living through right now. So Trump keeps saying, look, you got to give me time. Fair. Nothing happens fast, okay? You want to see benefit? Fine. But here's the problem, okay? It may take a lot of time for what Trump is doing to pay off for us, but it has taken no time for it to hurt us. And I'm not just talking about the stock market, not even the bond market. I'm talking about China, okay? Our biggest, most dangerous adversary on the planet. They just made a couple of big moves, okay? Now, you're not going to hear a lot about it, certainly not on, MAGA TV over at Fox or on Newsmax, all right? They just acted against us. They didn't put in reciprocal tariffs. You know what they put in? Restrictions. You know what the difference is? A tariff goes to their consumers and what they have to pay, right? Not a restriction. A restriction means that they limit the goods and nature of goods that are allowed to come into America, suspending their rare earth exports, which are crucial for building U.S. weapons, cars, smartphones, and medical equipment. That means they're not punishing their own consumers. They're just punishing us by not denying us access to what they make and what we need. And perhaps the biggest indication that what I'm suggesting to you is not merely my opinion, but a quickly developing consensus. We see a lot of our allies and trading partners echoing the same understanding through their actions. Why? Look, even if America is China's major single export partner, it's still less than 20% of all Chinese exports. That leaves a lot of other money on the table. And guess what's happening? You want to see what result Trump's tariffs have had? Look at what our partners are doing. You know what they're doing? Meeting with China. That's what China's doing. See, we just acted. America just went hard. This is what you get, okay? They're not. They're seeing what can be done with others. And I'm talking real allies. The European Union, Japan, South Korea. Just today, China met with and signed various, literally dozens of new agreements with Vietnam. Who cares? Vietnam is one of the biggest producers of smartphones and sneakers for us. Will they continue to be? The problem here is that while Trump is hoping aggression pays off, China is taking real steps to improve their position by doing what Trump refuses to do, meeting first. It's a frightening reminder of Churchill's caution to America during World War II. Do you remember it? The only thing worse than fighting against your friends is fighting without them. Now, the other counter is, hold on. There have been benefits from this. Countries want to come to the table. I don't know that that's true. I know they say it. I don't know that it's true. The other counter is, well, tariffs must be working because businesses are saying they're going to bring production back here. Maybe. Some of the examples were decisions that had been made before the tariffs. And even the most recent move, which is a big deal, okay? NVIDIA, the tech company, saying it's going to invest $500 billion into American infrastructure, that's going to take time. And that plan may be compromised by the fact that the company's stock is taking a beating, and that's where they're going to get the money to invest, right? More importantly, Trump's aggression has led to a major domestic regression and talk of hastening the onset of a recession. Oil and gas companies are meeting. They backed Trump. They raised money. Now they're saying, hey, let's scale back so that the price of oil, it doesn't fall like this. Let's scale back, right? Supply and demand. Even though the latest inflation numbers didn't go up as much as expected, surveys show what? More of us than at any time in recent history are worried about inflation, are worried about unemployment. This means Americans will soon what? Stop spending, which will cause what? Businesses to pull back from investing, and then what happens? The economy contracts. Then, because we're dealing with Trump and he's not always above board with his motivations, you got to look at a couple of the factors going on here about why he would do things so chaotically. Okay? You can bet whatever you're not willing to put into the market right now that he's going to say, oh yeah, I get it that domestically we're worried about some things. Tax cuts are the answer. Remember that. He's going to pitch tax cuts as the answer to everything that his tariffs are doing to the domestic market. Okay? Those cuts will not be a complete fix, and they better be geared towards the middle class and not the rich like they were last time. The rich don't get hurt by tariffs the way everybody else does, but they do benefit from Trump's tax cuts more than everybody else. That's doing the people who are supposed to matter most double dirty. And then you got to look at who Trump has decided to spare from the tariffs. One study showed that during his first term, companies that donated to him were far more likely to secure tariff exemptions. And companies that donated to Democrats were more likely to get the... You can argue that that was then, this is now. But look at what just happened. Today, Trump said he's willing to give an exemption to American car manufacturers who are about to face a 25% tariff on parts from Canada and Mexico. Why? I thought that's what you needed to do to bring it back here. Why? Is it because Ford, GM, and Stellantis all donated to the inauguration fund? Last week, Trump announced what? Smartphones made in China? We're going to wait. We're going to wait. And then Lutnick came out and said, no, we're not waiting. They're going to happen. They're just not happening now. So then you are waiting. Why? Is it because Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, personally gave Trump $1 million for the inauguration? Look, aggression is good. If what? If the actions that you take aggressively follow a sound strategy. Do we know that we have one? We've heard a lot about what they want to happen, but we have an understanding of how? No, it keeps changing in ways that haven't made anything better yet. We should all have the same goals. I know I do, and I do not want America's president to fail for the middle class and the working class. I don't, okay? And if you want me to, that's your problem. My problem is I'm not going to accept whatever is done because the ambition is a virtue. Trump chose to be a hammer and treat all of our trading partners and China as a bunch of nails. It remains to be seen whether he is building anything or just setting us up to get hammered. Let's discuss the state of play, okay? One concern is, how are members of Congress doing during this little market roiling? Remember, they can trade. That's James Kardatzke. He's the CEO of Quiver Quantitative. I keep telling you, look at Quiver Quantitative and you will see how members of Congress trade, and a lot of them are killing it. And I also wanted to bring in my friend John McNiff, founder and chief investment officer of Motum Capital. Why? Because I'm calling him every day and saying, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? So he might as well just tell you directly. Gentlemen, thank you both. First, James, give me the headline. They've been trading during this period, right? They weren't smart enough to hold off. So what do you know about what you flagged that people should be aware of?
Yeah, I'll say that lately we've already been seeing trades coming in that took place around the tariff period that have been very suspicious. As we discussed last time I was on the show, there is a 45-day reporting period before members of Congress have to disclose new trades. So we expect that a lot of trades are still going to be reported in the coming weeks. But even in the next few, last few days, we've seen trades from Marjorie Taylor Greene coming in, where she bought Dollar General shortly before the tariffs were announced. Dollar General is one of the few stocks that really performed well after the tariffs were announced. And then right at the peak of the dip, she bought into Apple. She bought into these other companies just before the tariff rollback started happening. She's benefited very greatly from both of those moves. So yeah, if I had to point to one headline, I'd say definitely Marjorie Taylor Greene so far, but there's still, a lot of time left for other members of Congress to report trades that were made in these last few weeks. So we fully expect there's going to be other members too who report similarly fishy trades.
Well, James, first of all, don't let me forget, okay, 40 days from now. Come back to me and be like, hey, we got those trade notices in now, and now I have more information. People will forget. I won't, especially if you remind me. And is it true that she was trading with the treasuries also, somewhere between 100 and 500 grand, just before Trump's tariffs? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, she's trading both treasuries and then also several of these individual equity names as well.
That's why they want to investigate. But remember, the Democrats. Oh, I'm sorry. Was I boring you? Is there something that you felt you had to say right in the middle of when I was saying something? Please go ahead.
James,
no, please go ahead. Please. I'm sorry. I'm even here.
In a prior life of mine, I worked in an investment bank as a fixed income trader. I had to put in forms to get approval before I could do any transaction in my private accounts. And then I had to hold them for 30, 60, 90 days. Do the members of Congress have any of those restrictions before they do a transaction? Back to you, Chris.
They don't. No. It really is kind of ridiculous to compare and contrast what's required of members of Congress, which honestly should be one of the highest standards that I feel like we hold anyone to. If someone's taking that office, they're really making a commitment to put their own interests aside and be serving their constituents, be serving the country. And even when you compare that to, like you mentioned, people who are insiders at corporations, people who are working in investment banking, we don't even require the same of our members of Congress as we do of someone who's an analyst at Goldman and an analyst at one of these investment banks. There's just really this big discrepancy, and it doesn't make a lot of sense why that's the case.
Anything else?
No. Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd add is, we talked about...
No, not you, James. Go ahead, James. What else?
Oh, I was just going to say, we talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but really this is a problem on both sides of the aisle. Pelosi, obviously, Nancy Pelosi has been the big, poster child, you might say, for congressional stock trading for a long time. But even recently, there's been members of Congress on the Democrat side who had suspicious trades around the tariffs as well. So I'd say, it's really hard, I think, right now for either party to really take a moral high ground and act like, they're the only ones who, are perfect and, morally straight in this. I think really both parties need to look inwards and say, okay, how can we do a better job of, making sure our members are not acting in these ways and, holding them from trading.
This is an easy one. Sometimes it's complicated. No one in Congress should be able to trade stocks, period. Forget about the reporting, forget about the hold, forget about all of that. If you want to serve the public, serve the public. But of course, Nancy Pelosi has a complete defense. Her husband does the trading. She doesn't have any idea what he does with the money. The fact that he bought a stock that was in a bill right before her committee, just a coincidence, that totally passes the smell test about as well as McNiff does after a TV appearance because he gets very flustered. Now, let me ask you this, John. Why is it that China putting on a restriction is a dangerous move for us and an indication of how smart they can be?
As we've talked about in the past, tariffs are harmful. So as you said in your opening monologue, when we put out our tariffs, they're harmful to the U.S. consumer. They're harmful to U.S. corporations and our economy by raising the prices of goods on both the supply chain and in our pocketbooks. Reciprocal tariffs do the same thing, but on the other side. Okay. We're talking about, playing chess here and what moves and maneuvers we have. China has a monopoly, essentially, on rare earth minerals and rare earth minerals, excuse me. By doing what they're doing, they have made a move that benefits their companies, their exporters, increasing their profitabilities, and directly hurts the U.S. We need those products for our supply chains. It will increase the cost to us, and it's a direct hit. It also sends a message to other countries. And there's another thing that's going on out there. and I need my glasses to get this one right, but it's the ACI, and you're going to start to hear about this. And this is the anti-coercion instrument for the EU. And it's a very similar tool away from tariffs that China just did. And the way this tool worked, it equips the EU with a direct tool to counter third country economic coercion by imposing targeted response measures. What does that mean? Okay, the US has property rights. They can now remove restrictions associated with our property rights. Who does that hurt? Microsoft, Netflix. Second thing they can do, restrict market access to US firms like our banks, our credit agencies, other financial services. And these are all areas which we are very strong in, and they would allow their companies to make gains and reduce us. So again, they're not tariffs, they're chess pieces that they can play. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this talk from other countries.
So this weekend, scrubbing all the foreign reports, it seemed to suggest that Trump's, if you want to chalk it up to personality or tactics, I guess that's subjective, but that other countries are taking this moment to meet with China when they haven't really done so directly before. What does that mean to the overall picture, John? And then I'll let you guys go.
So again, you had the Prime Minister of Spain go directly to China to meet with President Xi. And in July, the EU and China are now scheduling a trade summit. So you're allowing, when you do these type of harmful acts to overall trade, you're allowing other people on the chessboard to make moves around the sides of you. And that's what you're starting to see. So all those things are concerns and things to watch as we move forward. And hopefully, we get some resolution, because to me, these tariffs, it's a tool, but it's a blunt tool. It's like when you invite your plumber to come over to fix a sink, he shows up with a sledgehammer. You say, you don't have any tools in the tool belt? Like, that's what you bring to fix the sink? Well, yeah, it's going to solve the problem that your sink doesn't work, but it's going to cause a lot of other damage.
My producer, Ben, just said, so basically they're burning down the house to cook a steak. That's terrible, because we're the steak, but funny. James Kardatzke, thank you very much. Please, I'll talk to you before, but keep us honest about this 40-day. They have a 45-day reporting. Let's know. And John, you're not a correspondent. Don't say back to me. Never say back to me again. All right? You don't get to say back to me. All right?
Over and
it's
out.
Always me. It's always me. It's
what
my
about
show.
over? Can I say over
No,
and out?
No over and out. No over and out. No, you can't say that. Don't say that ever again. It's very bad what you just said. It's just me. All right? You just stay over there all red and flushed for whatever reason.
Let's
all right,
get after
4 minutes and 35 seconds. No, listen. He's done. Get him off. Get him off. 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Listen, those are the guys who are doing the job for real, not to just talk about it on TV. That's why you can value the information. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.